Good morning, everyone. I was trying to let the music play to give people time to get in here. Oh my goodness. So we're going to talk about Darlie Routier this morning. Carolina girl wanted to discuss it. I think she may call in here in a little bit. I see her in the chat. Hey, Carolina girl. Lisa, Cement Shoes, Debbie, Will, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate your support. I really do. Thank you so much. Mandy Hall, good morning. Never Lose Hope, TC, Beach Bum, Carolina Girl, Cheryl Lynn. I'm just scrolling, making sure I don't miss anyone. I thought I saw Soccer Mom. Hey, Faithful One. Oh, there she is. Soccer Mom of One. Good morning. Alex B. Good morning. Light Feather. Good morning. Kira. Good morning. Cool name, Kira. I really like that. Welcome to the coffee family. So we're going to do Darlie. The reason I haven't done Darlie in a while is because that every time that I discuss this case, the crazy people come to my channel. So I've already disabled the comments. The people that's watching the replay won't be able to comment in the comment section because I'm just not putting up with it this time. You know, there's been several times that people that I'm not familiar with come into my comment section when I discuss Darlie and attack my subscribers for their opinions. And I'm not going to put up with it. Hey, Brooks Channel. It came from Exonadu. I don't know what that is, Kira. Is that a game? Hey, Mark. Good morning. But yeah, I mean, we all can have different opinions on this case. I don't know why people have to get so mean about it. I will never understand that. I mean, I don't know. People are just crazy online. They're just crazy online. Hey, Tremaine. Morning. So I've got a good article pulled up. This is probably the best true crime article I've ever read in my life, and it's because it goes over all the facts. Now, the author does state his opinion sometimes in this article, but he makes it clear that it's only his opinion. I'm trying to think of his name. It's S. Clemens something. I think he was an EMT, and he writes true crime. I've got it pulled up. Look, crap, I got my Patreon pulled up too. I don't know why. Let's see if I can find it. What I like about this article, it's got pictures of the blood. Okay, guys, sorry. Timothy's going to come and unhook his game for me. I think. No sound? Can you still not hear? Timothy, can you use that on your phone for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Crap. I I don't know what's wrong with it, guys. I'm connected to the internet. It shows that I'm live. The mic's not muted. I have no idea what's wrong with it. Let me take down this article a second. Loud and clear now? Okay, thank you, Beach Bum. Telling you, there's something going on with StreamYards. I'm not too happy. I pay $25 a month, and it's constant problems with this. Constantly. People try to come up. It's problems with the audio. I did learn that you can't use like a Bluetooth headset with StreamYards, or it messes up the audio. We're good now. Okay. Well, crap. I wish I hadn't exited out of my article now. Lord have mercy. I'd mess up everything. Okay. And pull it back up. We're going to read some of this and go through it. And then if anybody wants to call in, Carolina girl, I think she wants to. Okay. I'm not going to screen share until we get to the evidence photos. So I won't have trouble with StreamYards. It's Carol freaking Baskin sabotaging you. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it, Cement Shoes. That woman does not like me. She blocked me from her channel. Like that's going to stop me from watching her videos. And she must have had me blocked for a while, and I didn't know it. Because I asked her a while back why she did videos talking poorly of Dawn. And then when I tried to comment the other day, I couldn't comment, so she blocked me over. But anyhow, Carol Baskin, the Bunny Slayer. So let's do Darlie here. I'm going to read y'all. Well, let me try to screen share because I would like for y'all to see this. I'll call in, but I need a new link or number when you're ready. Okay. Yeah, I will give you the link. When do you want to call in? How do you want to do it? Do you want me to read what I sent you last night? Or, well, let me just read the preface here. If anybody wants this link to HubPages, I would gladly give it to you. This is an awesome article. Okay. Darlie Routier's murder conviction has been debated in depth since the day she was found guilty 24 years ago. There have been numerous documentaries, a made-for-TV movie, countless websites and blogs, and several books written about the case. As recently as June 2018, a multi-part ABC documentary, The Last Defense, aired discussing the Routier case. Although closely followed in the state of Texas, the trial didn't have the same level of nationwide fascination as the Susan Smith, Casey Anthony, or Jodi Arias trials did. Cameras weren't as frequently allowed in courtrooms in 1996, and Turner Broadcasting's Headline News, HLN, and Court TV didn't exist to broadcast each day of the trial into every home. If the Darlie Routier case had occurred in more recent years, it would have been a household name. Well, crap, I thought it was a household name. I knew about it. This happened when I was young. Crap, I got something on my Chromebook. Okay. Since her conviction, Darlie Routier's attorneys have filed several pleas and appeals to the Texas courts. The last known appeal for reexamination of physical evidence was filed by her current and longtime appellate attorney, Stephen Cooper, and accepted by State District Judge Gracie Lewis in 2014, requesting updated forensic DNA testing of evidence found at the crime scene. Stephen Cooper's intent was to prove, through DNA test results, that an outside intruder was in fact in the house, committed the heinous murders of Darlie and Darren Routier's two sons, and attacked Darlie before fleeing the scene. Numerous items from the crime scene were submitted. The majority of the items were samples from the nightshirt Darlie wore on the night of the murders, but other samples included fingerprints on a knife blade handle, the murder weapon, a swab from the sweatband of a cap, two saliva swabs from Darlie, a sample from a sock found outside the house containing blood stains belonging to both of her boys. The evidence was submitted to the UNT Health Science Center Department of Medical and Molecular Genetics in Fort Worth, Texas, for DNA testing. That was a mouthful to say. The test results were returned to Judge Lewis in June of 2015. The testing conducted on the knife handle, the sweatband of the cap, and the sock turned out to be inconclusive due to their poor condition. However, the test results on the nightshirt samples revealed more than Darlie Routier's attorney had bargained for. The nightshirt samples submitted revealed in summary. And this is what always kind of stuck out to me was her nightshirt because of the cast off. The female partial DNA profile was obtained from 10-2589-502. Darlie Routier cannot be excluded as the contributor of the DNA from 10-2589-502. The DNA profile from 10-2589-502 has an estimated frequency of occurrence of 1 in approximately 150 quintillion Caucasian individuals. To a reasonable degree of scientific certainty, assuming no identical twin, Darlie Routier is the source of the DNA from 10-2589-502. No Y-STR results were obtained. I'm not sure what that means. And it says, you can find a copy of the DNA test results. It's got a link right here. The nightshirt blood samples that were submitted with the hopes of finding male DNA only revealed Darlie's DNA, as the prosecution originally claimed during the trial. These new test results, utilizing new and improved technology as opposed to 1996 technology, just all the more confirmed Darlie Routier's guilt. DNA technology has advanced significantly since the night of the murders, and readings can be gleaned even from the trace oils on human skin. On this last DNA study, the results once again pointed solely to Darlie Routier. These results are not posted or even mentioned on the fordarlie.org website, overseen by Darlie's mother, Darlie Key. Okay, now I'm going to look at the chat before we go to separating fact from fiction. This is a great article, guys. So I am missing a lot of chat. Hey, Michelle. Good morning. I switch back and forth, guilty, not guilty. Yeah, me too, Brooke. But, after reading all the blood evidence, DNA evidence, I think that she did it. I don't want to believe a mother could do this to her own children, butcher her own children. But from the DNA evidence, it looks like that she did. I'm still on the fence about it. Yeah. I have went back and forth with this for so long, this case, probably 2 years. And then when I really sat down and looked at the evidence, I think that she did it. But y'all, you're welcome to disagree with me. Carolina girl, guilty, guilty, guilty. You want a link, girl? Or do you want me to keep reading? It don't matter to me. You can come up as I read. Oh, crap. I forgot to take down the comment again. I'm so bad for that. Okay. Now. I'll give you a link. I often wondered if one or both of them was having an affair. Was the affair's partner, husband, was the guilty person? Oh, I didn't know that they were having an affair. See, that's why I like talking to y'all. I didn't know that. I know they were having money problems. To me, I think Darren looked at Darlie as a trophy wife because the night of the murders, I think he was talking to a detective and he mentioned, maybe someone followed Darlie home from the tanning bed because she's got these big old breasts. Like he's obsessed with her breasts. I think the prosecutor, he kind of got on my nerves going on about her looks. He brought, every time he's interviewed, he says something about her looks and stuff. She cut herself to make herself inflicted victim. Yeah. I guess I can't understand a mother to do this. And when you watch Darlie in interviews, she comes off as a sweet Southern belle. She talks real calmly, real softly. They say that's a facade. Did she cut herself or did someone help her? I've always felt that Darren helped stage the crime scene. I always felt that he knew what happened. I don't feel like I've been very suspicious of him, but now I kind of feel like he was asleep when the murders went down. But when he came downstairs, I think he knew from the get-go Darlie did it. Well, I thought so too, Cement Shoes, that it was sick, him talking about her big breasts. Maybe that's the way he talks, but he seemed to really enjoy having a trophy wife, a beautiful wife. She thought she was hot shit too. Yeah, she did. I mean, she's been on death row for all these years. She's got to almost be out of appeals. I thought she had like one left. I read she was a very devoted mother. See, I have read that too, Cheryl. I have read that all the kids in the neighborhood loved her. She was a fun mom. And then I've also read that the two boys run wild through the neighborhood and nobody supervised them. Yeah, well, see, the thing about the main artery in the neck is everybody's got that main artery. If you get cut there, you're liable to cut it. Darren and Darlie were what we call swingers. Oh my God, really? They were swingers? Crap. Okay, so I'm going to finish reading. I guess Carolina Girl will be up shortly whenever she wants to. Okay, so let's do separating fact from fiction. This is a highly debated case, and it's important for the reader to understand these debates are not about someone awaiting trial. Darlie Routier has already had her day in court. She was convicted by a jury of her peers and was sentenced to death by lethal injection. Was the trial perfect and free of errors? Of course not. No trial is or ever will be. People that believe in Darlie Routier's innocence provide all kinds of reasons and theories that they often try to pass as facts as to how she couldn't have been the killer and or how she deserves a retrial. Their favorite claim is that she didn't have a motive. They love to say a motive was never proven. Prosecutors don't need to have a motive to prove someone committed murder. They only have to prove the accused did it, which in this case, they did. I have to agree with that statement. They don't have to have a motive if they can prove someone did it. Claims are frequently made, such as botched evidence testing, contamination of the crime scene, manipulated evidence, prosecutorial misconduct. I think Carolina Girl's here. Let me finish this Carolina Girl and this one little paragraph. I'll add you. Okay, evidence suppression, witness tampering, jury tampering, perjury, you name it, it's been thrown out there. But when asked to support these claims with provable fact, the Darlie supporters just can't do it. Their facts consist of hearsay and a theory, which would not hold up and obviously didn't hold up in a court of law. Okay, let me get over to StreamYards. You want your camera on, sweetie? She can turn it off if she wants. I was trying to give you time. Hey, girl.
Hey.
I can't hear you. Okay, now I can. Hey.
Okay. Is the sound okay?
Yeah. You sound great.
Okay, good. I was worried because I actually lost one of my earbuds, so I'm not using them.
You know what? I think it's better not to use earbuds sometimes. They say the Bluetooth ones mess with the StreamYard's audio. I don't know. It makes sense.
Okay. Well, it works. Good.
Yeah, you sound
Thanks
really...
for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming up. So you wanted me to discuss this case this morning. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I really wanted to talk with you about it because I knew that you would be someone that's easy to talk to about it without getting offended. Like you said, I know a lot of people are very strongly opinionated, and some people get real ugly about it, and I knew that wasn't going to be a problem on your channel.
No, I won't.
So, anyway.
So do you think she's innocent or guilty?
I mean, I think, like in the Chris Watts case, I think some people just cannot fathom how a father could do that to their little children. I think that's a big problem. A lot of people think, how on earth could... But it happens. It's very unfortunate. I think people would rather believe it was an intruder because, it's just awful to think a mother would do that to her children. But I'm a very science-minded person, and I think that there's just way too much evidence and experts that looked at the crime scene and knew what they were doing. I think they proved to me, I don't see how anyone else was there. I think she did it.
Yes. Did you read that article I sent you? The one I'm reading now?
Yes, I did. And actually, I believe I read that article. I think it's recently been updated, but I know I read that article a couple of years ago. It is a really good article.
Yes. And the evidence, they got all the evidence. They got like some of the crime scene photos of the blood evidence. What always, I've went back and forth with this case in my head because I don't want to believe that little sweet woman could have butchered her two kids.
Right.
But I think that she did. And what always made me think kind of that she did was the cast off on her nightshirt.
Yeah, that's definitely one big thing for sure.
Yeah, that was a major thing for me because I watch Forensic Files and I know how that cast off does. But I think a lot of people don't want to believe the blood analysis expert because he was wrong in another case.
Well, they even have pictures, like you said, Bud, pictures of blood on the carpet, pictures of blood in the kitchen, all over the house. And you can see very clearly there's a lot of round blood, which is not caused from running. She was walking around and bleeding a lot. There's no question about that. There was a lot of her blood on the scene, and there was a lot of it that was round. And I think that she called 911 well after. I mean, I don't know if maybe it was 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later. I don't know, but that's just my opinion.
Right. Well, I think there was, I can't remember, but I think there was some kind of evidence that there was blood cleanup, like on the sink, like what do you call that? Backsplash. You know what I'm talking about? Like the tile.
Yeah, behind the sink. Yes, they luminol, and were able to determine that she had cleaned out the sink, the backsplash, and I think the 2 cupboards down underneath the sink, and 2 of her footprints. I mean,
Yeah, the
what's
footprints, yeah.
going to take the time to do that? It
Well,
doesn't make
according to her supporters, the crime scene was contaminated, and that could have been like an EMT worker or something.
There was a shoe print, but it was determined to belong to one of the police officers, I believe, from the initial walkthrough. Because when they came in, she was screaming that the intruder might still be in the house, which actually delayed EMT from getting straight to the boys as quickly as they could have. They were busy thinking maybe someone else was in the house.
Yeah.
So
They also say that she didn't have a motive, but I think she may have had postpartum depression.
I think that's definitely possible. I've heard there was a diary of some sort that she had written, and I know I've heard it's been taken out of context to fit either agenda, whether she's guilty or innocent. But I would like to find that and read it myself.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I've got, I don't write daily, but I have kept a journal before, and some of the things that I've wrote has been while I've been upset. So I totally get that, but I think she had postpartum because she had just had baby Drake. You know, something I felt strange. She said she couldn't sleep upstairs because the baby kept her up.
Yeah,
That's strange to me.
it is a little strange to me too, except, I mean, people go through, sleep disruption patterns. And so I guess the crib was in their room. Usually I feel like a motherly instinct that wouldn't bother you, but depression can cause anxiety as well. So I think there might have been a mixture of both, possibly.
Beach bum. Darren Routier did take a lie detector test 18 months after Darlie was convicted, I believe. And that was a private investigator.
It was someone
I
trying
think,
to family, I believe, right?
yeah, I think it was I think it was his aunt that actually hired that guy. Let me pull up the article on my phone here.
And
I
if I
stopped screen.
did very well.
Go do what?
If I remember correctly, I don't think he did very well on the test.
No, he failed miserably when they asked him, like, if he was involved. Now, Darren claims that he was never looking for anyone to rob his house so he could do an insurance scam. He claims that Darlie's defense attorneys came up with that, and he was just trying to help Darlie, so he signed that statement.
I don't know.
Heard that.
Heard that he had possibly talked to people about stealing like his car or something for insurance purposes. I'm not quite sure. There definitely seems to be some sketchy background on him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he signed a paper and said that he was looking for someone to rob his house so he could make an insurance claim. And he did the car too. Was trying to do the car too. I think that was before the house robbery. Yeah, he's shady as hell. I was really suspicious of him, of his interview at the cemetery. To me, he acted just as strange as she did.
Yeah, I know the silly string video too caused a big problem. I think it was definitely unfair to not have shown the full context of that.
Yeah.
And I it was shown like 9 times, to the jurors. I know, regardless of the situation, and I know everyone's different, but I would imagine that anyone who had been through that kind of trauma or had lost children, I would have to be heavily medicated or I would be in a mental hospital hysterical. So I'm pretty sure she probably was on medication. I would think there would be record of that if her doctor had prescribed her Xanax or something, just to help her calm down. And her sister was the one that brought the silly string too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think a lot of people thought, yes, this is a little odd, but it is what it is.
They had a memorial service before that. And one of the reasons they did the silly string is because it was one of the kids' birthdays. They had planned
Right.
on having a birthday party. So the silly string and stuff was done for the little kids. I did
Right.
find it strange, her behavior, but I have heard from her supporters that she was on some medication.
Hmm.
And if she didn't do it, yeah, you'd have to be heavily medicated. I witnessed something horrible, and I had to be heavily medicated
Yeah.
for the first couple of weeks.
Um,
But yeah, that they recorded that illegally too. The
yeah.
cops did.
Curious about that though. How is that illegal if you're in a public uh place? I've heard that.
I
Maybe
really don't
uh,
understand that.
maybe it has to do with having consent from at least one. I don't know. The one party consent. That wouldn't make sense because the person recording it would give consent. So that I'm really just not sure about. But I have heard that they shouldn't have done that. But how it's illegal, or if it was, I don't know. I don't think it's a private cemetery. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe because it was like a memorial. I don't know. I don't know the laws in Texas with that. But I mean, it was messed up that the detective took the fifth on the stand. I mean,
Yeah.
that's weird. Something back to the night of the murders that stood out to me is she never said anything about baby Drake upstairs.
Right. That was huge to me too. I mean, if I jumped up and saw two of my slaughtered on the floor, the first thing you would think of is, oh my God, where's my baby? That tell me they didn't
Mm-hmm.
do. And she didn't ask about the children, period, in the whole hospital ride.
Nope.
So bizarre.
No. And she changed her story like a couple different times.
Hmm. And on her 911 call, to me, the one of the biggest flags is her saying how she touched the knife and that she shouldn't have because now she messed up the fingerprints or something like that. And the forensic analysts they did drop tests with that knife where she said that the intruder dropped the knife. It would have also had cast off of some sort with as much blood that was on the knife. And they didn't find any splatters from the drop at all, anywhere, not even nicks in the floor that maybe the tip of the blade could have caused. They looked for any possible evidence to show that knife was dropped where she said it was, and I don't think it was at all.
And then they had the print of the knife on the carpet in the living room.
Right.
Where someone had laid the knife down.
Yeah.
And the attacks on the boys was that was a personal
It was awful.
attack. Yeah. And their wounds are just so different from Darlie's.
Yeah. I mean, that's very strange. I mean, how someone could cut themselves like that, I don't know. I mean, that's insane. But they did say that it was a superficial cut. So yes, she did come close to her carotid artery, but your carotid artery is not very far underneath your skin. It's not even under muscle, really. So, your Darlie supporters like to say, look, she almost killed herself. She would never have done that. Who could do that to themselves? Well, crazy people can.
Also, something else that they say is the necklace was embedded in her neck, and it wasn't. When she got to the hospital, when they removed like the bandages, her necklace fell off.
Yep.
It was not embedded.
Right. And Darlie supporters will say that there was a nick or something, a flaw in the necklace. It must have been where the knife, stopped, the necklace stopped the knife, but they said it was from a pawn shop. It was used jewelry, and no idea. I mean, that nick could have gotten there a million different ways. That was never proven to have been in her. Yeah. I don't even know where that rumor came from, honestly. And that's one thing that makes this case so frustrating. It's been 20, however many years, and people live and breathe this case day in and day out. Will look for any possible shred of anything to twist. So I don't know where the necklace thing came from.
Yeah, and they get so freaking mean The ones that supports her and the non-supporters, they get really mean. Lydia from South Florida. Hey, Lydia. She says, I just never seen any tears from either Darren. He was joking at the police station after polygraph. He failed miserably too. But I have no problem with the silly string. Jurors go by evidence, blood.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the silly string video either. You know, like I said, I thought Darren acted just as strange because he was trying to convince that reporter that he was a good parent. If you pay attention to his words.
I mean, and yeah, he definitely made some odd statements for sure. But I mean, it's interesting to imagine the lifestyle that they were trying to portray. You know, living in this really nice house, how young they were. If she was 26, I believe, she started having children at 20. So she had, 3 children and had all this, really nice jewelry, expensive cars. I don't have a problem with any of that. Anybody can live that way. But it seemed like a lot of people felt like she was materialistic. And I have 3 children myself, and you learn real fast. They're not cheap. Raising kids is cheap. It requires a lot of patience, a lot of time, and it changes your style, which I think was the case in the Casey Anthony. I think it just changed her partying lifestyle. It crimped her style.
Yep.
It's awful. What people will do. But it breaks my heart that one little boy, lived until he got into the ambulance. I mean, I wish it had just been instant. Yeah. I hope that if it was her, that he didn't realize it. I feel like he does, but it's heartbreaking to think that your mother would do that.
Yeah. Wasn't it the youngest one that was still alive?
I believe so. I think it was Damon. I think if I have them right, I think Devin was the 6-year-old and Damon was the 5-year-old. And I believe Damon was the one that was still alive. And that was another thing that one of the officers asked her to administer first aid to him, I believe 4 times or something. And she didn't.
Officer Waddell. Yeah.
I thought.
Hold on, girl. Let me let my dog in here.
Okay.
Come on, lady.
I just to let you guys know, I'm in StreamYards, so I can't see any of the comment section like I normally do on so I'll go back and look at it. But I'm not ignoring if anybody's asking questions or anything. I'm not ignoring it. I can't read it.
Okay, Never Lose Hope says, Barbara Davison's son, there was another fellow that was real close with Darren. His girlfriend wound up face down in Ray Hubbard Lake. Oh, Never Lose Hope has said, a lot of people that was involved with this case have ended up dead.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy. Back to something you said before, like, I don't know how people discuss this case, like, on and on and on. The people that's all they do videos on is Darlie and stuff. I don't know how they do it. It would get to me. But they said Darlie's necklace had a nick in it, right? But Darlie is OCD and allegedly materialistic. So do you actually think she would buy a necklace with a nick in it? No.
Exactly. And it could be one of those things that the nick is so minor. Again, I don't even know where that rumor came from. I don't know. But people run, I do want to read the transcripts. I have read through some of them, but not all of them. But yeah, just the scientific evidence. The other thing that's really strange is the sock that was found however many yards away. It wasn't that far away. It was like 3 houses away, I believe. And it had, I believe, the boy's blood on it. And that was it. But there was no trail of blood there. Nothing else was found. It was just all alone, laid out nice and pretty. Like,
yeah.
To be
why was that sock there? Who took that sock there? Did Darlie take that sock there, plant it to make it look like an intruder dropped it?
I mean,
leaving?
It seems that way to me. it's kind of strange how, so going back to when you were saying the knife impression that was in the den or in the family room on the carpet, there was a full outline which indicated that there was blood from the end to the tip, and that most likely the person using the knife was bleeding onto the knife and it was running down the knife. So part of me thinks that she stabbed them and then realized when she was going to slash her neck, realized that the one boy was still alive and went back. Because I think they said that he was stabbed more times than the other.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe she had then, once she slashed her neck, realized he was still alive and then went over, and that's how her blood then got all over that crime scene where I believe it was where.
They think he was trying to crawl away from his attacker.
Yeah, it's sad. It's awful. The other weird thing too, though, she's made a comment, something along the lines of, well, if I did it that night, I don't remember. I can imagine how anything that traumatic, someone would have like amnesia. I know it can cause that. Whether she I don't know. I just feel like something that traumatic, I very well believe she probably has blocked part of it from her memory and maybe is in denial, about it happening. I don't know, but yeah, it's just very sad.
Julie says Darlie is guilty. The necklace didn't save her. Yeah, no, the necklace didn't save her. That's a lie. See, I didn't used to know all the facts about this case, and I'd be like, oh, maybe, she needs a new trial. But after I went over the blood evidence, DNA evidence, I believe she's guilty. If people get mad at me over that, they'll just have to get mad. It's just my opinion. If you think she's innocent, that's fine. I don't argue stuff like that. There's no point in it.
Yeah. I can't read the.
I mean, she's done been convinced. Do what? Sorry.
I can't read everything in chat too. So if I'm missing comments, I don't know if there is somebody in chat that thinks she's innocent. I'm happy to hear what anybody has to say. I always find it intriguing because to me, it's so blatant. But if you have a point that I've missed, I'm all ears.
They sealed the one evidence. Okay, Lydia from South Florida says they sealed the one evidence that would have exonerated her, and the DNA results are sealed, so it's not public knowledge or public access. So why? And she wiped the little bloody palm print off her sofa. Yeah, I also heard there was a painting, an expensive painting, removed from the wall and put like behind the sofa.
I don't know. I did read, I believe in the article you sent me, it was talking about her gold rings and Rolex that were left sitting out. Her purse was left sitting out. An expensive vase was conveniently not broken, but turned over. And one of the detectives said something about, this is, as bloody of a scene that it was, it's very interesting that it wasn't more catastrophic to, the actual house and belongings.
Lydia says that Darlie Key had the results sealed. That's one woman I wouldn't want to mess with, Darlie Key. She sounds like she's a firecracker. Of course, she's going to support her daughter. She don't want to believe her daughter murdered her two grandsons.
Right.
She doesn't want to believe that. And I do know that her sister feels like crap over bringing that silly string to the cemetery that day. But, who would have thought they would have been secretly recording and that would have gotten her convicted? Because I believe that silly string video is one of the reasons she was convicted.
It didn't help. The knife, though, and the knife, I think, were huge. To me, also, the experts that went in and were able to see that the glass was broken on top of blood. and she's trying to say they ran through the house and the vacuum was knocked over and all this. Well, they were able to prove the vacuum was laid down because of the direction of running down the handle of the vacuum, and then I guess the way it rolled in the blood on the carpet. And she's the whole time saying this. She changed her story about where she was attacked, but she never changed her story about the fact that he ran through the utility room through the garage. And the last drop of blood stops at the utility room. There's a cut screen in the garage, and it's not bent. There was dust on the windowsill, so it looked undisturbed. Yeah. They had a motion sensor light out back, which was not on when the officers were there. And they said the motion sensor light stayed on for 18 minutes or something. It was a very long time. They said it was on. So if he had, run out the way it was staged to look, then that light would have been on. And then there was a gate on the back patio that apparently wasn't working correctly. And Darren had tried to maneuver it, wire it shut, or do something to fix it. So it wasn't easily it wasn't easy to move, and it wasn't obvious that had recently been jarred or I don't know, messed with.
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was going to say something that was always weird to me is if you see an intruder that's in your house and they're leaving. I mean, for me, I'd be scared to death and I'd just let them go on and leave. But she chased after them, she claims. Why would you do that if they're leaving?
Right. Yeah. I think that's just, I think a lot of people would act differently in that situation. I feel like me personally, I would be one to run to a closet and grab the phone to call 911, and I wouldn't be running towards them. But at the same time, as a mother, I could see how you're trying to be protective and that you would want to just be sure they get the hell out of your house, But I think that's the same thing with what happened at the memorial site. I think everyone would react differently. So that doesn't prove to me really anything personally.
Yeah, well, I've had people tell me when I've mentioned that before that they would have chased after. Some people have said that. I personally wouldn't. Something else is the cut on her neck. The cut on her neck, you can tell it's not a straight cut.
Right.
Kind of starts up and then goes down. That shows that she did that. I have thought that maybe Darren did it to her. I do think he helped bruise her arm.
Well, the bruises showed up days and days. So all the medical personnel said they didn't see any signs of it when she was there. And any of that severe bruising would have shown up within the time frame that they would have seen her if it had happened that night. And it didn't. So, yeah, I think she tried to batter herself up pretty good.
Julie Duncan says, one of Darlie's aunties said Darlie did it. She has been kicked out of the family now. Of course, Mama Key believes her. It's her daughter. You're right about the light. It should have been on. Yeah, that's in this HubPages article about the motion detector light. It should have been on when Officer Waddell arrived.
Yeah. And I was wondering, well, are they sure it was working? Well, it turned on when they had their flashlights and were going through the garage. And when they went out and around the back of the house, they triggered it on. So the light was functioning. So that part doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, TC, they did have insurance on the boys. Never Lose Hope says it was $5,000 each. She's right. I remember reading that. She knows a lot about this case, a whole lot.
It's less than what their burials cost. So that doesn't make any sense. And I think Darlie.
Yeah, you can't bury someone for $5,000.
I think they said it was $13,000 for the whole thing combined.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense.
She says Darren's mother worked for an insurance company and she wrote those policies.
Yeah, I just saw someone said about money that was laying out in a Rolex. Yeah. I mean, motive in this case is what confuses a lot of people. Because if you say, okay, normally an intruder in a expensive neighborhood and an expensive house would be robbery. Clearly, this was not robbery. They left very valuable, easy things to pick up and take. They left. So that was not a motive. I wonder now, again, I do not believe there was an intruder, but if there was, what is really suspicious is things that have been said about Darren, about staging things or having someone maybe steal this or rob the home to get insurance money. I could see how maybe if he fell into the wrong crowd and he pissed somebody off, they would want to take out his wife. I could see that. But there is no scientific evidence proving to me that there was someone that came into the house. So why even discuss, all of that? I don't know if that makes sense, but he very well could have pissed
Right.
somebody off. But show me who it was. Show me any fingerprint from any unknown male and anywhere, or male. I mean, we're assuming it would be a male. She's saying it was a male, but it's a made up person personally.
Yeah, it's totally made up. There's no evidence of an intruder. Now Lydia says Percocet pain medicine. She had Percocet and pain medicine after she had her triple D breast implants, and she kept taking them for a year till she went to jail. Darren even asked her, "What did you do?" And she still with 911 recorded. Oh yeah, I have heard that, and I heard a recording, and it does sound like Darren asked Darlie when she's called 911, "What did you do?"
I remember hearing.
They've also said, "Go ahead, go ahead."
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was going to say that I've heard that Darren mentioned something about like, was Blake in here, referring to one of the neighbors.
That audio, they did have a professional go back and clean it up. It's been a while since I've actually listened to it word for word. I do remember Darren in the background, but she was screaming so much. It was really hard to hear, over. It wasn't very clear audio. I mean, this was back in 96, old recording. And, so I'm not sure what exactly was said. That could be the case. But they did say one of the EMT drivers, or excuse me, healthcare that was trying to help, I believe Damon, said that he couldn't concentrate on helping the little boy because there was so much screaming. So he ended up picking him up and taking him out front. I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, she was hysterical, which, again, it's a traumatizing situation, whether she did it or not. I mean, I don't know if did they test her system for drugs?
I've never heard anything about them testing her for drugs. I've only heard that she was on Xanax at the gravesite when they done the silage string.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably tested her. I mean, the only things like Ambien, which can cause blackouts, or like drinking alcohol that can cause blackouts, trying to think of something that literally could cause amnesia, a type of medication. I don't know that anything was ever mentioned that she was on any medicine like that. And I don't even think it was around back then. I don't know.
Well, the Percocet wouldn't make you kill someone. I mean, I've been very vocal on here. I used to have an addiction problem. I'm recovering addict, clean 8.5 years. But yeah, that Percocet is not going to make her kill. It'll make you lose everything in your life,
Mm-hmm.
She had something mentally going on. She could be a psycho.
And
I don't know if she's ever been diagnosed.
Right. And that's another thing a lot of Darlie supporters will say. She has zero, history of this. She was only 20 years old. A lot of times things develop in people around that age. I know I dealt with postpartum depression and anxiety. I have generalized anxiety disorder. And a lot of times until you're a young adult, these things don't even express themselves, necessarily when you're younger. But look at the Chris Watts case. I mean, he didn't have nobody had anything bad to say about him. He didn't have any history of anything. Clearly there's something there, that was, undiagnosed or whatnot. But just because someone has never done something before doesn't mean that they didn't do it. I mean, there's always
Exactly.
I mean, so that holds no water in my book, period. So
Chris Watts, he definitely had something going on, and I think that Thrive made it worse.
Definitely, it's like very, very, stimulant, too much of a stimulant at one time. But there's still, it is just a combination of bad things that caused that whole thing to happen. It's awful. But so I think a lot of people are very puzzled by the motive in the Darlie case. But and if it was a lifestyle issue for her, then why not the baby? Well, babies don't talk back. Babies, don't. I don't know. It's really hard to say why not baby Drake. I mean, thank God he was not hurt. But
one reason is because he was upstairs with Darren. She couldn't do it without Darren seeing her. Maybe.
True. Right.
Yeah.
But what do you think was the motive?
I really don't know. I think that she could have had postpartum depression based on some entries in her journal. I think they were living a luxurious lifestyle and really couldn't afford it. And I think that may have had a lot to do with it. I think that she was overwhelmed with 3 children.
Yeah. I did hear too, when you said earlier about the kids running loose in the neighborhood and stuff, which thing, because I feel like, I mean, this was 96. I graduated high school in 96. So when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, now that's older than what these boys were, granted. But I feel like when we were younger, we were used to running around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure. I mean, 5 and 6 is definitely young. So I don't know if they just, if they had neighbors. I am curious to hear, to go back and look at some of the testimony from neighbors and friends and how they perceived her prior to all of this. I think just knowing her general character would be, because I don't find it odd to say, oh, her kids just ran around the neighborhood. She didn't care about them. I just found that.
Yeah. Well, we ran around and, played outside a lot growing up, but our mom still kept an eye on us. I don't know. When I read that, I kind of felt like they meant like they didn't have any supervision while they was outside. Like she was just in the house and they were running wild. But I also read that the neighborhood kids loved Darlie. She would give them popsicles. I mean, she was a fun mom.
Well, and that's also the type of neighborhood where there's lots of families and lots of children. So was it really just these 2 kids running around by themselves? I mean, it seems like the neighborhood was full of kids. I don't know. I definitely would be interested to just hear more about, their lifestyle in general. But yeah, being old and having kids and back to back to back, I mean, I can see how it would stress someone out, but.
Brooks Channel, I had a bad experience with Thrive, and I'm going to tell you, it is because I have manic depression and I experience mania, and that stuff made it 10 times worse. Yeah, I tried it out for a week, but I took the pill. Then I would do the shake about 30 minutes later. 30 minutes later, put the patch on. I had a very bad experience with it. A lot of people, it don't bother, but I think I did talk to someone else the other day, and they said it did them the same way. I think it's just according to the person. Any kind of thing that speeds you up, I can't take it. I can barely drink coffee.
Yeah, same here. something. A lot of weight loss plans have caffeine in them. I can't even take Excedrin because it has caffeine in it.
Yeah.
And I have anxiety.
If you experience mania or anything, like any kind of diet pills and stuff will, oh gosh, make it 10 times worse.
Yeah. They make you yourself miserable for other people to be around. That speaking of myself.
Yeah.
I bounce off the wall.
I was trying.
Caffeine.
Oh gosh, that's probably why I bounce off the wall all the time. I'm always hyper anyways, but I drink way too much coffee. Brooke says apparently Lori Vallow was a fun mom as well. Yes, I've heard that.
Yep.
About her. Well, she's a monster.
Another pretty blonde. Darlie was pretty blonde. I bet she was a fun mom. Something went really wrong. It's hard to say, but unfortunately, parents do this all the time. It's terrible.
But there's a lot of moms and dads that get overwhelmed and they don't butcher their kids. And I hate to say it that way, but those kids were butchered.
They were.
The knife went through one of them all the way to the floor.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking. I mean, I couldn't even.
It is.
I think I commented on your channel when we were talking about it the other day. I personally could not even work in a butcher shop, like in a grocery store, butchering meat.
No.
Just the thought of a person doing that to a child, it blows my mind.
I know.
I think a lot of people that feel the same way.
It's
made a comment. No evidence dropped. Utility room evidence. The knife was lying on the carpet. Yes, in the Roman room. I've never heard them call it that. That's an interesting name.
Me either.
Makes it sound all fancy. The Roman room.
Hey, that fancy house, to me, it looked fancy to me. I mean, how many people in their 20s have a house like that and those nice cars? They had a Jaguar, I believe, had a nice boat, hot tub.
A lot of people said that about Shanann. She, her first house was a really nice house. And it actually was not that far from me. And interestingly enough, my parents live in that area now, but where I live, so they generally refer to where she lived was Charlotte, but where her house was west of Charlotte, closer to the lake. And yes, it was a gorgeous house, but the price of living here versus other places, it's more, I'm trying to think of how much her house was. And it's not that hard to get a loan. I mean, people want your money. So, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, but yeah, she definitely drained Chris. They had no business living in the house that they were living in Colorado on the salary that he was making. I mean, they were just, there's no way.
Yeah.
So I think they
lived a luxurious lifestyle.
They did. I think they probably fudged her numbers and made it sound like she was making more than what she was making to get the loan for the house that she ultimately wanted. So
yeah,
really unfortunate.
Yeah, that case is really sad. I don't know why he just didn't divorce her. If he didn't want to pay child support, he should have signed away his rights. Right. He's a monster.
Yeah.
I've got some thoughts about their relationship and their lifestyle, and I try not to say it on here because, I don't want people to think I'm bashing Shanann because, like I say, she shouldn't have been murdered. Of course not.
Right.
And her children. There's nothing that she could have done, they could have done to deserve that. But yeah, I do feel like she probably was a little bit controlling, but on the other hand, I feel like she had to be because Chris is a sheep.
Yeah.
He's a follower.
He wore the pants.
Someone.
But
yeah.
That's very common.
She wore the pants and zipped them.
Yeah. And bought them and picked them out. Yeah.
and bought them and
That's
took them out.
wrong. I like
But you know what? That's his fault for letting
right.
her do all that. That is his fault. He should have gruesome. You
He
know
never should
what?
have. Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was extreme and she was the other. And that case blows my mind too. Especially
Um,
modern day. I talk about a lot of these cases that have happened years and years and years ago. And Chris Watts will be one of those cases and people will still be talking about it 20 years from now.
yeah. Well, I was into the Watts case. I really didn't. I started my channel after, but I did a few videos on it. But I just kind of, after you learn all the facts of it, you got to move on. I just didn't think there was no use in just to keep on talking and talking and talking about it.
Right.
It's not going to change anything. Lydia says you can go and listen to this public information, but you hear Darren say, "What did you do?" Hysterical because Darren didn't believe her intruder story. She was screaming at him and not near the boys.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting because he stood by her side. I mean, he in the court of public opinion, he seemed to support her. Behind the scenes, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if he said that, but I just cannot imagine if I was asleep upstairs and my husband woke up screaming. I mean, it's so hard to imagine how anyone would act in that situation, but to not attend to your children who have been hurt, it just seems like the natural thing to do, and to worry about your other child. But I mean,
Yeah.
you have a son. I mean, you know how you get when they even get mildly hurt, or I mean, we've had broken things here and there, stitches. I have 3 kids. We've had all kinds of stuff. I mean, the last thing I would do is not attend to their needs. I worry about it. I try not to freak out because I don't want to over worry them. So
It almost seemed like she was trying to distract Officer Waddell or the EMTs by, just screaming, being hysterical while they're trying to save the life of her kids.
right. It'd be interesting to hear in the testimony. I would like to go back and read if they could kind of make out more or less what they were screaming about, because she definitely was hysterical in the phone call, and they arrived within 3 minutes. So, yeah.
You know what I heard today? It's from someone that knows this case inside and out. I heard that Darren had a pair of jeans that had blood on them and that he changed clothes before anyone arrived, like the EMTs.
I have not heard that.
Have you heard that?
I have not.
I haven't heard it either.
Hmm.
But I trust this person. If they told me that, she's got some kind of information about it. I'll try to learn more about that from her later on.
Yeah. Well, I've heard so many mixed things. Like, I have heard Darlie supporters say that her shirt was not dried and that it was the evidence bag that it was put into, like, the blood on the shirt could have cross-contaminated on itself. But then I've also heard that whole theory debunked, that was not true. So sometimes you hear these things and I wonder where they came from.
I don't believe that her shirt being folded up and put into an evidence bag messed up the blood pattern, the cast off and stuff. I mean, if you look at it, I saw pictures of it. Even though they crumbled it up or whatever and put it in a bag, you can still see the cast off drop. I mean, it doesn't look like it's been smeared at all.
No, I think they did somehow come back and debunk that and say, no, that's not true. It cut off of her, I guess, ambulance. And
when I was thinking, that she was maybe be innocent, I was thinking, what if she was on the couch asleep? Her, she's facing the cushions, laying on her side, and someone comes in, murders the kids, and when they're pulling up the knife, the cast off goes onto the back of her shirt. I did think about that.
Mm-hmm.
But now I think, well, if that happened, it would probably, the cast off would have looked different or something. I did try to give her the benefit of the doubt. I really did.
Yeah. I think for me, the knife is a big problem because, again, they could tell that there was blood running down the handle, and there was the child's blood on the knife, and her blood was on the knife. So
Yeah.
this intruder dropped a knife, as she says. How did her blood end up all over it? Clearly she was bleeding, but how did her blood end up all over a knife on the floor next to her son? Doesn't make any sense.
Right. Let me show some pictures here from this article. We can look at this knife.
And it's also strange that an intruder would come in without their own knife to stab 3 family members out of the butcher block in the kitchen. Not normal.
Well, her mom says that Darlie would have had more common sense than to use a serrated bread knife to cut the screen.
Her mom was very vocal about saying that that's not possible. That knife wasn't sharp enough to cut that screen. Well, they did prove that it could have. Usually, I mean, I know it's not the sharpest knife in the world, but it has, even though it's rounded at the very end, it does come to a point.
Right. I was trying to screen share it, but it's not showing on my phone. It does that all the time. I will screen share and look at my phone because I use my phone to look at the chat. Okay, now it is. But I got a big comment up there, so I got to take that down.
The problem about Darren, I just saw one comment, was his DNA is going to be in that house anyway, so that makes that difficult.
Right.
I mean, and I'm surprised they didn't find his fingerprints on that knife if he had been the last person to use it before they were stabbed. You know, just from cooking in the kitchen.
Right.
Oh, there's the sock. That's so strange.
Yeah, there's the sock's got holes in it. I didn't notice that.
I can't tell that. What is the top picture, Cece?
The top picture is the sock, but oh crap, I'm scrolling. The sock beside the trash can.
Okay. Yeah, that's very strange.
I wonder if they check that drain right there.
Well, in this day and age, so many people have Ring doorbells and, you know, exterior surveillance. I hope that crimes like this just become further and fewer in between and become easier to solve.
Yeah.
With with cell phones and all that these days.
And she says the intruder left through the utility room where the washer and dryer's at. Well, here's a picture. It says blood on the utility room door and washing machine, identified as belonging to Darlie. No other blood was found past this point.
Right. And again, even if she had dropped the knife on the floor, there doesn't seem to be any truth to that because they couldn't find any markings or evidence of it ever being dropped on that floor.
Right. And there's the murder weapon just laying on the counter. And that doesn't make sense. Your kids are just attacked. You're attacked. And you take time to pick up the knife off the floor? Why?
Right.
That don't make sense.
Exactly. So that you can say, oh, I touched it. I picked it up. My fingerprints are all over it. But that's the only reason I can think of.
Yeah, here is her nightshirt. And it's talking about, you can tell that it shows it landed from the top of the shirt, moving downward, consistent with cast off from the knife at the shoulder level. I guess all the blood in the front of the shirt is probably where she had her neck cut. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. I do find it odd that she cut her right arm instead of her left arm if she's right-handed. Maybe she was smart enough to think of that one. I don't know. That does seem odd to me.
That is odd. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and if you watch a rendition of it, like a professional rendition of it, they show the person standing at the sink slice their neck with their right hand and then take the knife into their left hand and cut their arm. So she had to have used her left arm to cut her right forearm the way it was cut.
See, in this picture shows the boy's blood splatter highlighted, suggestive of cast-off blood from the knife at the right arm area of the nightshirt. See, that right there, that kind of evidence just doesn't lie.
Right. And if she had been tending to the child, let's say when the officers walked in, you know, trying to perform CPR or whatever, or if they had told her, go, you know, they said, go help your son, then they could argue that's why there's some blood on there. But she clearly never even went to their aid that they ever saw.
No. Okay, and this picture says highlighted cast off blood belonging to the boys on Darlie's nightshirt, found predominantly at the right shoulder area, front and back. Darlie is right-handed. See, that totally makes sense. She used her right hand to stab them, and when she would pull the knife up, it would cast off onto her shirt.
Right.
I've saw that reenacted, before. It's crazy. Crazy.
I think we're on the same page.
I think we are too, girl. It's been a good discussion this morning. I'm going to have to get off here and tend to my family, but maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, you're so pretty, girl. Thank you for coming up. I like to meet my subscribers that always come in and chat.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Cece.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You too. Bye, guys.
Bye. Well, guys, I hate to run, but I better get off here and get some things done. I could sit and talk about this all day, but actually, I'm in quite a bit of pain with my tendonitis. I've got a Tiger Balm pain patch on my knot on the back of my heel, above my heel. But anyways, I love y'all. I may try to do a member stream on the porch if I get time this evening or Saturday evening, but definitely Sunday morning, channel members meeting. I'm going to call it Coffee on the Porch. Lydia, thank you for stopping in from South Florida. Love Florida, by the way. I like when people stop in and give their opinions and they know the facts. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. Well, bye, guys. I love y'all. Be kind and peace.